Some prescription drug and pharmaceutical prices will be reduced almost immediately by 50 to 80 to 90%. Big Pharma will either abide by this principle voluntarily or will use the power of the federal government to ensure that we are paying the same price as other countries. To accelerate these price restrictions and reductions, my administration will also cut out the middlemen.
Several White House officials joined the president yesterday, including FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary. He weighed in on the order. Watch.
The fundamental problem in healthcare is that we've had non-competitive markets. And we can do little things around the edges, or we can transform those markets to competitive markets. And that's what this executive order does today. Imagine buying a Ford for $175,000, a regular car, and then hearing that people in London are buying it for $10,000 every day, all day long. That is the craziness of this system. We're going to do everything we can at the FDA to support this executive order. It's transformative. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
And joining me now is the man himself, FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary. Dr. Makary, it's great to see you again. Thank you so much for being here. And wow, what big news. The president trying to level the playing field here. How quickly do you think Americans are going to see the benefit from this executive order and actually see their pharmaceutical and prescription drug prices go down?
Well, good to be with you, Maria, and good morning. Yes, that's exactly what Americans need. They don't need to hear about wonky policies. They need to see the price of their drugs go down and go down dramatically. And I think it's going to be soon, because this has been the great American ripoff. Companies are charging Americans 5, 10, 12 times more than what they charge in other wealthy countries. We're not talking about in poor parts of the world. And President Trump has called this out, and he has said he is going to use the full power and authority of the executive branch, all of it. The trade representative, the DOJ looking into monopoly pricing or price collusion, the largest payer of drugs in the world, Medicare and Medicaid. And at the FDA, we have things that we can do as well, and we have good relationships with the pharma companies. We want to see American pharmaceutical companies thrive, and we want to see pharmaceutical companies that do business in the United States thrive. But we don't want to get ripped off with these crazy cockamamie pricing schemes where in other countries they're laughing at us, and that is what this executive order is aimed at.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand how it's possible that this has gone on for so long, where prices are one level in America, but then they're much cheaper elsewhere. And the president talked about that yesterday, that he had these, executives in his office, and they would say, okay, you got us, you're right. It's so much more expensive in America. I mean, we've heard for so long it's because there's all these middlemen. There's the pharmacy benefit companies, and everybody wants a piece of it. Is that what it is? How has this gone on so long, and why?
Because it's gone on so long because nobody's called them out. And a lot of people have been getting rich. Healthcare has created thousands and thousands of millionaires who are not patient-facing. And in the case of drug pricing, it is multifactorial. A lot of different stakeholders have a piece of the pie. The middlemen mark up the drug. Sometimes the hospitals mark up the drug. But the drug is also priced differently for the United States. Sometimes the kickback that is paid to the middlemen is built into the price that pharma has to price the drug at. And some of these problems are uniquely American. If we had more access to drugs, if we had fairer pricing, that's all we're asking for, is a level playing field. The companies know what they're doing. And that's why we're simply asking them to level the playing field before we use the full regulatory and statutory authority that we have as an executive branch to rein in this practice, because the president does not like to see Americans get ripped off. And his instincts with the U.S. paying too much for NATO or the WHO fees, this is no different. Why are we financing the world's R&D when other wealthy countries are getting sweetheart deals? 70% of pharma profits come from the United States, even though we're 5% of the world's population. We want a level playing field, and we want pharmaceutical companies to thrive.
Yeah, you're right. This is so huge, Dr. Makary. Look, I want to get your take. You just said we want, companies to do well, but you've also said that public trust in the healthcare system is at an all-time low. Now, this morning we just had news before you joined us that, United Health is naming a new CEO. They're suspending their guidance, and the reason that they're talking about this is happening is because they are citing higher than expected medical expenditures. So what's the story? Why are they facing these medical expenditures that they claim are outsized, and yet, they're passing it on to customers who are paying sky-high prices for these, drugs that they need for survival?
Well, if you follow the money, you look at the healthcare sector, a lot of people are getting rich. As a matter of fact, everybody in healthcare, with the exception of maybe rural hospitals, are getting wealthy except for one stakeholder, and that is the American worker. And the sort of burden of healthcare costs comes through your paycheck deduction, and that's why people perceive that they don't feel it, but they are paying a heavy toll. I didn't take an oath as a physician, Maria, to take care of somebody and treat them and then ruin their life financially, but that's what doctors are watching every day in our healthcare system.
That is just incredible. Now, there are also reports that the FDA is set to integrate AI into the decision-making process. Does technology here play a role today that's different and has changed over the last few years? What's that angle, Dr. Makary?
Look, we've got to modernize at the FDA. We want to see more cures and meaningful treatments for Americans. We want to see healthier food. But on our goal of increasing the number of cures and meaningful treatments for Americans, we are proud to announce that last week we had our first high-level AI-assisted scientific review. And the reviewer told me that it took 6 minutes for the AI to do what he would normally do in 2 to 3 days. Now, the human is still involved in the review, but we want to get through that process faster. Why does it take 10 years for a drug to come to market in the United States? It doesn't make sense. We're looking at everything. We are looking at AI, and we have an aggressive plan to get AI-assisted reviews agency-wide at the FDA by midsummer, and we're going to hit that goal, and we're going to keep going.
That makes a lot of sense, especially with President Trump's deregulation. That should take away some burdens as well to get drugs approved quicker, right?
We got to cut the red tape, and there's a lot we can do. We reduced our requirements for animal testing. Turns out animal testing of drugs is not very good. It's not very predictive, and computational modeling and lab testing is now equal or better. Well, we can save time. We can lower costs of research and development. We want to promote America's inventors and developers to bring more cures to Americans, and we can do that with more rapid approvals.
Yeah, I'll never forget when Joe Biden wanted to share the COVID recipe with China for free. What happened to patents? There you go. Dr. Makary, you're making a big difference. We appreciate your time this morning, sir. Thank you.